Hey everyone, today we are in St. Joseph, Missouri, and we're going to check out the Jesse James home. This is the home where he was shot by Bob Ford. You can see there on the sign where it says, "See the bullet hole." Jesse James home.
On April 3rd, Jesse was in this room with two gang members, Bob and Charles Ford, making plans to rob the Platte City Bank the next day. Jesse noticed the needle point on the wall was crooked. Because it was a warm morning and the door was open, he took off his gun so neighbors wouldn't see them. Then he climbed on a chair to straighten the picture. It was the chance the Fords had been waiting to collect the $10,000 reward offered by Governor Tom Crittenden. Jesse fell to the floor dead. Only Bob fired. The bullet entered behind his right ear, and some believe it came out over the left eye, leaving the legendary bullet hole. Researchers now think the bullet did not leave Jesse's head. The Fords sent a telegram to the governor and then surrendered to City Marshal Enos Craig. But instead of collecting a reward, the Fords were charged with murder and were sentenced to hang. Within hours, the governor pardoned them. Below the needle point at the bullet hole, over the years people chipped away pieces of the bullet hole. The framed gun is a .44 caliber Smith & Wesson, similar to the gun used to kill Jesse. The famous outlaw was responsible for the deaths of at least 16 people, but sympathy did not rest with the Fords for killing him with his back turned. Within 2 years, Charles Ford committed suicide. And 11 years later, Bob Ford was gunned down in Creek, Colorado by Ed O'Kelly. The James family rented his house from a city councilman for $14 a month and had no time for elaborate escape routes. There was a trap door into the half basement, and in the bedrooms a way into the attic and out onto the back porch roof. Note the unusual love seat by the door. Gentlemen used the backrest, and ladies romancing had no place to lean but into their lovers' arms. In the next room, you'll learn about the 1995 exhumation of Jesse James at Kearney, Missouri. You may also view the artifacts found in the grave. DNA test by Professor James Starrs confirmed that it was indeed Jesse James and not an imposter who was killed here April 3rd, 1882. Thank you.
Frank James up there in the back row in the center on that buggy. Pretty interesting to see these old pictures of the home. This is where they're moving the house to where it is right now. This is where they are exhuming the body of Jesse James in Kearney, Missouri to have a DNA test done. And there they have the remains of Jesse James so that they can prepare it for the third funeral, which is right there. Quite a few people and news media attending that. And there's the horse-drawn hearse to carry his body to the final resting place. And then the funeral. July 17th, 1995 is when they exhumed him. Some interesting pieces here. Coffin handles and wood fragments from the coffin of Jesse James. Some more handles. And these are artifacts that were found in the grave. There's a tie pin. Got a rubber band about where that would have been on him. Jesse James bullet, a .36 caliber round ball recovered from the chest area in the casket. More coffin handles there. And right there. Wood fragments, nails and screws from it. This is broken glass from the viewing area of the coffin. And then the lift handle. This is pretty interesting. They have a casting of Jesse James' skull here. They found 32 pieces. And then you can see where the hole entered. This is behind his right ear. No exit wound was found. Not only do they have a casting of his skull, but also a casting of his teeth down there. And there is a water pitcher from the home of Frank James. Clay marbles right there. Some old pop bottles made in Belfast. Love how this floor is all creaking when you step on it. So that is an artist's depiction of Jesse James and Bob Ford on the right. And right below we have Jesse James' wife Zerelda and Jesse James on the right. And then one more picture of Jesse James here on the left and Frank on the right. Here we have Charlie Ford and Bob Ford on the right, and William Quantrill on the left and Bloody Bill Anderson on the right. And up above that says Susan Palmer on the left, the sister of Jesse and Frank is on the right. And we have the mother Zerelda and the stepfather Mr. Samuel on the right. So this is a bank in Liberty, Missouri. It's where the James gang had their first daylight robbery. The original location of Jesse James' grave with Mother Zerelda. The original site of the home where Jesse James was shot. And this little piece of wood is a piece of the chair that Jesse James stood on when he was shot. And these are medical saddlebags that Mr. Samuel, the stepfather, carried. That's some of the photos of the original homestead in Kearney. And then Dr. Reuben Samuel right there. This is a photo of Cole Younger. This is Sheriff Timberlake. And this is a photo of Jesse James after he was shot. This is bedroom 1 of 2. This is the Jesse and Z's bedroom here.
Dear son, I received your letter yesterday and was so glad to hear from you. The weather is real pleasant here now, but day before yesterday afternoon a light snow fell. Mr. Chancellor is here this afternoon preparing the ground south for sowing timothy, clover, and oats. Mrs. Dale has left me. Her son came after her. I now have Miss Carrie Burgess with me, and I want to keep her all summer if I can. She is a good cook and is real good and kind to me, and I like her real well. She is Mr. Tom Burgess's daughter, the blacksmith who used to shoe your horses. It is real spring weather here. The grass in the yard is getting green. I have plenty of wood and coal. I had Archie LaFoon over here today to carry in some wood and coal for me. My hens are doing real well. A few days ago I got 10 eggs and I have only 15 hens. In spite of bad roads and unpleasant weather, I have had several curiosity seekers and expect a great many more as the roads are getting good now. I don't believe I can wait until you get your crop laid by. I want you to come if only for 3 or 4 days. I don't think I ever wanted to see you as bad in my life. I would like to see Anna awfully well and hope it will be convenient for her to come too when you come home. Mr. Ryland Messick died and was buried Sunday in Kearney. He had been sick for some time. Well, as I want to get this in the mail, we'll close. Your loving mother, Mrs. Samuel. Mr. James, I would like very much to meet you and Mrs. James and hope I will when you come home. Carrie Burgess.
So this is the location where Z, Jesse's wife, and children were standing at the time when Jesse was shot. This is in the kitchen area right next to the wash basin or sink. And they witnessed it all happen. This is Jesse's children, Jesse Edward and Mary. This is Frank James. So this is an article talking about Frank James and how he's going to be cremated and that his remains are going to be held on to until his wife Anne passes. And then they'll be buried together. This is some funeral announcements of his wife Anne when she died. And this is talking about that promise that she's going to make. This is a rattlesnake necktie that Frank had, as well as some shoes. This is an example of a type of pistol that they used. And this is an original chair that was in the house at the time of the shooting. This is not the chair he was standing on, however. Now this little spot right here is where Jesse James' head fell on the floor. And the wood to the floor was stained with blood. And over the years, different people came in and chipped pieces of the wood away because they wanted a souvenir with his blood on it. So it's left these little divots in the wood floor. This little article right next to the divots is explaining that very thing that I just told you. This little location right here is a trap door, supposedly. So if the lawmen were coming after him, they could slip through this trap door underneath the house and then out the side or the back or something, I guess. So this is a copy of the reward payment for the death of Jesse James. Now, historians believe that the Ford brothers never received the full advertised $10,000 reward for apprehending the outlaw. The reward was offered by Governor Tom Crittenden, but the money was put up by the railroads. And that's something that would raise eyebrows even today. This was the Chicago and Alton Railroad's share of the reward payment. Note the money was paid to Governor Crittenden and not the Fords. The pay voucher states April 10th, 1882, the proportion of the reward money offered for the capture of Jesse James in the amount of $1,500. So this is the back side of the home here, and it's where you enter if you want to tour the home, and it's just $4. But it's pretty interesting to see. And this is along the side here. Not a very big home, but it has been well preserved. You can see here this brick path. Purington paver is what all those say. So this is the other side of the house, and it says Jesse James home. Outlaw Jesse James was shot and killed in this house April 3rd, 1882. It was then at 1318 Lafayette on the hill above the Patey house. It was moved here in 1977. And then here it is, a little placard there. Jesse James home given to the Patey House Museum in honor of the pioneers who contributed to the building of St. Joseph. So this is going to do it for this little tour of the Jesse James home. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit of something, and we'll see you guys next time. So this monument's been placed here. It says Jesse James Hill. The outlaw Jesse James was killed here April 3rd, 1882 by Bob Ford. The house is now on the grounds of the Patey House Museum, 2 blocks south. This hill has been lowered more than 50 feet, and it was sponsored by the St. Joseph Convention Visitors Bureau. This is where the home was located, and you can see how it's been kind of cut down a little bit here. This is the location of where the house would have originally stood. Pretty interesting to see, and I'm glad they put a marker here. This is 1318 Lafayette Street, in case you're wanting to find it in St. Joseph, Missouri.